Hello and welcome back to MindSpanse. I'm Craig. Thank you for taking some time. I'm in another amazing spot here in the Poconos on this lovely lake. It's a beautiful morning and have a great message for you today. And it's a little more work related, but it's about goals and achieving your goals. And we talk a lot about that in a lot of my other videos, but this one we're going to talk about energy, and it was something I read. It was sort of challenging yourself to say, have you really put in the amount of energy required to achieve the goals that you expect? And it made me think a lot about my own life and different projects I've worked on, and of course how I could take that and turn it into something that was this video. So to help other people really think about that in a broader perspective, and then how to maybe attack the machine of vision, breaking that vision down into steps, and then applying the energy and focus to achieving those steps and eventually the vision that you have for yourself. So, of course, I love to do my stretches. So let's start with a big stretch. Oh man, the air is just so awesome here. Going back to New York today, so the air will not be as nice, but it's okay. It's been great here, and having fires and cookouts and playing on a lake. So it's been amazing, and so it's something that when you think about your goals, and this is a great place, has been to just rethink what I want to do for the next couple of years, and start to map that out. And oftentimes, I think the biggest thing is really having clarity on what it is that you want to achieve. Oftentimes we don't even do that, and I have many videos that talk about just how to identify a direction. It doesn't have to be very specific, or it could be very specific, but somehow there's a direction that you'd like to move your boat. And if you don't know that, then it's very difficult to plan how to get there. And then it's breaking that, once you have that direction and have that goal, is how do you break that down into steps that are manageable and achievable, so that move you in the direction of your goal, and also allow for some flexibility as the environment changes, which happens all the time. And then of course starting, and then the part that I want to talk about today is the energy part of the equation, right? So there's input and output, and input is the actual steps and energy, and then the output should be your result, your goal. So but before we start, also I've been trying to do more bring downs, like teach you guys some of the bring downs I do, and these are great for before bed, and they're great for just like when you get real stressed quickly, just a great way for a few minutes to just really de-stress, and also to bring yourself into the present. And I think the last one we did was these cool breathing exercises that I do, where you sort of move the direction of your breathing at different points of your body. And this one is just like another version of that, except it uses the idea that the noise in your mind is think of it like clouds. Sometimes they're very thick, rainy clouds. But notwithstanding, they are clouds, and therefore they can pass through you. So the idea is to bring these clouds through you, and have that noise sort of drift through you as well. And so I use another analogy in this, and I'll share it with you really, really quick. So first, just close your eyes just for a second. Take a really deep breath. Imagine you're breathing in like a beautiful sparkling light and releasing all the crap. And just keep doing that, and relax your shoulders, relax your jaw as you breathe in through your nose. Hold it for a second and release. And now as you breathe in, imagine there's like this wind, a cloudy wind above you that whooshes down very lightly through your entire body. And so, and don't try too hard, let it just whoosh through you. And you may feel little blockages as it goes through your body in different parts of your body, but don't think about it. Just if it is, just let it keep going, and just let it go away. If it doesn't want to go through, let it go away. And just try it again, little by little, until you feel, and these are light, puffy clouds, so they're not really interfering in anything. And allow them to just, every time you exhale, and allow those clouds to just wash through your body without any expectation of what they're doing or anything. Just focus on them, on these white puffy clouds washing through from your head down through your feet. And then imagine the clouds get a little thicker. It's sort of like if you're making pasta. If you've ever used a pasta machine, there are different settings. So the first setting is you run the pasta through the machine and it makes it a little thinner. And then you turn the machine setting a little bit, and then it gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it's like paper thin. And then you can make your raviolis or whatever you want to make. So think of it that way. So you just keep making it a little thicker. And so it's a little harder for the cloud to move through you, but it's also pushing down through you and sort of cleansing you. And if it gets too hard for you to visualize it moving all the way through you, realize it is a visualization. So you can just let it go, or go back a notch till it's thinner, until you get that flow back, and then go down a notch again and make it thicker and push through more. And you just keep doing that as long as you like. And within 5 or 6 minutes, a couple things. One is you'll just feel this flow, and you can also start from your feet up. It's fun to try both directions to see how that feels like. And you'll start to feel this cleansing. You'll start to feel very present, very aware, and it puts you in a frame of mind where, if you're getting ready to go to bed, or if you're going to do a meditation, it just brings you into a little bit of a deeper place where you can then focus on the next phase of your journey, whether that's sleep or a deep meditation or some other practice. Going to the gym, working out, anywhere where you want, or working, focused working. So try that and enjoy it. It's a great one, and I have a lot more, and so I'm going to do them in all my new videos, and so you can play with them, and there's no specific set way to do it, just whatever works for you. And these are just guidelines on how to think about taking yourself down, de-stressing yourself, relaxing your body, which is all really good for you, because stress is a killer, literally, and releases lots of bad chemicals. And there's another video I'm going to do here this morning, actually, that it's going to be fun. So on that. So let's get back to energy. So the challenge is, this is a hard challenge, because often we blame, we're working on a project or whatever we're doing, and it just doesn't seem to be going the way we want it to go, or it's not happening the way we want it to happen, or not happening fast enough, and whatever it is. So the key is identifying what the issue is. And there's 3 places where you could have an issue. One is you may not have complete clarity of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And when you don't have that clarity, then it makes it almost impossible for you to deploy your energy in a productive way, and therefore you're not achieving the kind of results you expect from the energy you're putting in. So that's one challenge, is to go relook at your vision, and is your vision really clear? And I work with a lot of clients in fundraising, and I have the same conversations with them, which is, have you crystallized the vision enough so that it's so clear, not just to you, but to everybody you speak to? And there's a great quote that I can't remember who said it, but it's not me. But it basically was like, if you can't communicate your mission in a sentence to a 10 or 12-year-old or whatever, I forget the age, but that they understand completely, then you haven't spent enough time thinking about your own vision and creating more clarity in your vision. Because the more clear your vision is, the easier it is to make decisions about what to do and what not to do in terms of how you deploy energy and human capital towards that goal, right? But you'd be surprised how few people spend more time on that, and it's so important. And same with hiring people. It's really understanding, what do you want this person to do exactly? I mean, of course, there's a whole range of other things that they may be doing, but what are you really looking for someone to do that you're hiring? And really think about that, and then think about the kind of person that would be the right person for that job, and then start to build the kinds of interview questions and the kind of resume lists and the people that you want, and then you'll find that you'll pick better people. It'll be easier, and you'll have a better time at the whole process. Is putting in a little of that work up front makes a big difference. So we've talked a lot about that in other videos, so I want to move to the next section, whereas you've maybe misdefined your steps. In other words, you've created sub-goals that are incongruous to your vision, and that happens too. And so it's important to revisit those things, and do they make sense? And as the environment changes, do they continue to make sense? You may have deployed, if it's not just you may have deployed the wrong people at the wrong places at the wrong time. So that's important to think about as well. So if it's a group effort and you're leading in that group, think about the skill sets of each of the people that you've deployed to different tasks, and do they make sense, do they match, and whatnot. And oftentimes we make that mistake because of seniority, and the reality is we're trying to optimize to win and not to appease. And often when we're trying to appease and deal with people's egos, that creates challenges, because maybe they're better at a certain job in this task that may seem lower than another job, but there's no such thing. That's just in your mind, because at the end of the day, each piece is critical to winning. So being able to communicate that to people and help them understand that, or find people that understand that and make changes. So that's another piece to think about, and I've talked about that in other videos. So today we're going to talk about energy, and it's the hardest, and I'm staying away from it till the end, because it challenges you, it challenges yourself in a very deep way. Are you really putting in the time? Are you really focused? Are you really giving it your all to make it happen? And I would say often you don't. I say often I mean, there are times when I'm 100%, and that's hard to maintain. You get distracted on other projects. There are things that happen where it seems difficult. And that's normal, and that's, you don't beat yourself up, but you have to refocus and really continue to challenge yourself. Based on what my expectations are, am I putting in the energy to meet those expectations? So how do you address that? Which is what I want to spend the last part of this video talking about. And as always, it's always about observing, and this not just for you, but for your whole team, and really looking at each of your team members and saying, what's their routines, and where are they deploying energy, and what's coming out of it, and does it make sense? So the first thing is just to observe everything, yourself, your team, as in all the practices. It's always about observing first, because once you take on that role of the observer, you're going to have much more clarity, and of course you're objective, hopefully, and you'll start to see things that normally you might not see, and it's being dispassionate about it as well, not looking at it from, not judging and not being angry or happy or whatever it is. You're just observing and taking notes. And then after you've done that for a while, you start to see you'll see patterns. You'll see, when things happen, are people in sync? Is the energy being directed? It's sort of like 5 people in a boat or 6 people in a boat rowing. If they're all rowing at different times, not in a synchronous pattern, the boat just either goes in circles or goes, zigzags, doesn't go in an optimal line, right? So making sure, even though everyone's deploying a ton of energy, they're not doing it in an asynchronous way so that it's actually counterproductive to the effort. And you'll see all that when you spend time, take a week or whatever it takes to observe the process and then start to readjust, not everything right away, but start to readjust the amount of energy, when you deploy that energy, and who else is involved in a particular project and how are they deploying energy, and overly communicate for a while till you guys get in sync so that you're really, working together. Or if you're by yourself, doing something by yourself, to really get in sync with your own body clock and when you're most productive, when you're most focused. Do some meditation, do some exercise, and then deploy all your energy into a project. And for me, that works best after I've had a chance to do, sort of clear my head either through meditation or exercise or something, and then I can work really efficiently with a lot of energy, probably for 3-4 hours, and then I'll do something else. And I know that about myself. I need to just go for a walk or do something, clear my head, and then go back at it. And I can do that for 3-4 hour shots, 3-4 times a day. So that's how I work. Other people like to just work straight, go crazy. Other people like to work in the morning. Other people like to work at night. But if you like to work in the morning and you're deploying all your energy at night, that's probably not a great use of your energy. So these are all things that become challenges to you achieving your sub goals and eventually your vision, and also the level of energy. Are you really committed to winning? And then you got to ask yourself that question, which is a more metaphysical question. I've spoken about this in many videos, and often will self-sabotage. So because success, if you put in all your energy and you're totally focused and you work your butt off and everything's in line and you're synced up and you have a perfect vision and it still doesn't happen, the only one you can blame is yourself. Or I don't think you have to blame anyone, but people tend to beat themselves up and feel like they failed. And so by not doing that, by not having clarity, by not putting enough energy in, there's always an excuse that says, well, or you blame somebody else or whatever. So it creates this sort of cycle of excuse for not winning. And I see it all the time. And if you do this observing process, you'll see that also. And some people do it more than others, and you'll see it in yourself. You do it. I mean, it's almost impossible not to do that sometimes. And the key is, how do you get it? You got to get over that and realize it. Once you see it, it's really easy. You almost have to laugh at yourself why you would possibly self-sabotage, but it happens and it's part of our psyche. So getting over that is really, really important. And being ready to fail. I mean, whatever that means. I don't know. Not achieving your goal when you put all your energy and you feel like you have perfect vision, but there are externalities, and it's not always going to come together. But if you believe and it's realistic in the sense that you're totally clear and you understand what it takes to get there, and there's no overwhelming technical hurdles, then you should be able to make it happen. And if it's not happening, even with all of that, and you're not sabotaging, then just sit back and rethink, the equation. Maybe you're overthinking the process. Maybe it's a simpler, the things that work tend to just happen. They tend to be, like if you're over trying, then there's a problem usually. You shouldn't really over try. There's a natural order of things, there's a natural course of things. So when you deploy very highly focused energy in a clear path that's well understood, it should happen. And if it doesn't happen when you're doing all those things, then perhaps the path is not right. Perhaps the vision is off. There's something off in the machine. And so think of how you might want to simplify things. How could you do something a little simpler? Maybe a little straightforward, more straightforward. Something that might be uncomfortable for you, but more direct in what you want. And often that will push through that wall. There's always psychological places we don't want to go for whatever reason, and we tend to pre-build those into our plans, and they tend to be stumbling blocks. So when you come across one, you may not want to see it, or may not be able to see it right away, but if you think of it that way, it may be one of those predefined in your brain places you don't like to go to. You don't want to have those kinds of conversations, or you don't want to do this or that. And then you find your way through that to get to where you want to get to. So that's what I have today. I could talk about this for 10 years. It's an endless topic, but it's so valuable because we all have things we want to do. And I mean, whether it's, doing our job better, building a YouTube channel, helping people elevate their lives, and doing that in a way that makes sense. Losing weight, I don't know, whatever it is. Spending more time with your kids, I don't know. There's a million things. And you deserve to have all those things. You deserve to live the most amazing life, to be the best version of yourself. And part of that is just allowing you to be that, knowing that you can be that, and you can watch all my other videos on these topics, so you get a full view of it all. But have a great day, and subscribe to the channel, please, and like the video, and share it with your friends. And like I say, I'm always about elevating, using very basic meditation practices to elevate your daily life, and that's what I spend my time doing. So I wish you well, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.